Hello YouTube and welcome to a new Let's Play with your host Shenner. This is a game, Railroad Tycoon 3 with the expansion Coast to Coast. This is a game that I played for years. It has a lot of good replay value. This and the predecessor, Railroad Tycoon 2. Both those games are freaking excellent. Didn't care too much for the original, but Tycoon 2 was probably the most popular of the series, and then Tycoon 3 turned everything 3D and added, free camera movement and lots of good stuff. But they're very similar games. They have some discrepancies, but for the most part, they're very similar and they're both very fun. Anyway, I played this game quite a bit when it came out, and as the expansion came out, and some, custom created maps and stuff like that. It's a really cool game with a lot of good replay value. I probably played this for a couple years straight. This and other games, of course, but I didn't put it away. I just kept playing it. So, I'll tell you what we're going to do with this. It has some problems with fraps. It seems to turn off DirectX when it switches between parts of its menu, and it also turns off DirectX when it goes to play a map. So, during those times, I'm going to have to pause the recording before I click any buttons, or else it'll just crash the game and probably ruin the fraps that was created. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause between all the different menu segments, and we're going to pause before we start a map, and hopefully I can do it right. I've tested it a few times to see if I could get the pattern down, and I think I have the pattern down to make it work. So let's try to make it work. Start a single player campaign on hard. Now if I click hard, it's going to crash, so I'm going to pause here, click hard, and then come back.
There, it's right good to see you. The museum's supposed to be closed today, but I guess it's okay if you look around. I was down in the boiler room fixing that darn contraption again. Can't complain, though. That's why they keep me around here. Seems I'm one of the few geezers left that know anything about this old stuff. I thought I'd come upstairs and see who was here. Guess I ain't gonna get a nap with you around. Oh, I'm just funning you now. Right glad for the company, actually. What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess you're looking at all them highfalutin display cases. They tell a story of some pretty influential people from the old days. Powerful industrialists they call Tycoons. Right pretty name for the bad ones. Reckon it ain't good enough for the honorable ones. They were all men of action, though. Changed the world, they did. But they all started off same as regular folks like you and me. Oh, you think you could build an empire of your own if you'd gotten started in them days? Well, why don't you give it a try, then? Click on that first display case on the left there and get started. They don't bite. Go ahead.
Alright guys, so that is the old dude, the supposed proctor of this museum, and this museum is part of the menu for the game. So when you start a campaign, you get brought to the museum, you hear the old guy talk, and then you can interact with him a little bit. Like if
you seem fixed on this here scenario. Time's a-wasting. Why don't you press the display again and begin?
So if you move your cursor over the fan blades, you can interact with him a little bit.
Don't touch that, you'll leave a mark. Try a display case instead.
And if you leave it there, he'll get annoyed.
All right, that'll do, Mr. McFeely. Now leave the fans alone.
And if you leave it there longer, he gets annoyed. More.
Dadgummit, I said leave 'em be.
Sorry, old man, I can't hear you over the sound of this awesome fan.
Hey, no habla inglés? Get your groper nasties off those fans.
Groper nasties. So anyway, these are the different maps that you can play in the campaign. And the way the campaign works is you get a no metal, a bronze, a silver, or a gold.
Oh, that blank stare reminds me of my cousin Bubba. He had that there drooling problem too. Now wake up and get moving.
So you either get a gold, silver, or nothing for each of these maps, and at the end you get a campaign total. It's just like for a high score list or whatever. So this is the American part of the game. All these take place in the USA. And then in the next room is the European part of the campaign.
What? What? I think you're getting ahead of yourself. Oh, you can try one of these scenarios if you like, but you might find it a sight easier if you go in order. Go to the room on the left by clicking on the sign shaped like a left arrow. You know, you remind me of something my daddy always told me. If at first you don't succeed, destroy all the evidence that you try.
Okay, so this is the European part of the campaign set. This is state of Germany, Flying Scotsman, crossing the Alps, etc. And this is the quote-unquote rest of the world part of the game. So Argentina, Africa, and Japan. And then we have another set of campaigns for the future. So the Cedar takes place in Greenland, Dutch Atlantis, which takes place in a future Europe where the water has risen to the point where the Dutch wall is now like 50 kilometers tall or something crazy. And Chip Off the Old Block, which is a futuristic California campaign where the tectonic plates have shifted to the point of extreme ridiculousness. Anyway, so if I click this display case called Go West, it will start the scenario. And I can't click it because it'll crash the game and it'll crash the recording. So I'll have to click it off screen and then we'll get right back to you.
Here's about the American West. Well, west of New York City anyhow. You see, the nation hadn't been able to use much of the land west of the Appalachian Mountains because it was just too difficult to move goods to and from those markets. Now, the trains changed all that. Now, the nation had a quick and reliable form of transportation. Go west, the man said. And so they did, by the trainload.
Hello, welcome to the first stage of Railroad Tycoon 3. So this is called Go West, and don't really need to read you the text. The basic thing is you start here in Boston, and let's see if I can remember the controls. There we go. So you start here in Boston, and you have to connect Boston to Buffalo, New York, over here on Lake Erie. So this tells you the goals you have to do. Bronze, you got to connect before a certain date. Silver, connect before a certain date, and gold, you connect before a certain date. That's it. So the rules are you can't build unconnected track, and you can't resign or be removed. So nothing super duper special. Just that you can't like start your railroad in Boston and start a second railroad in Buffalo and then try to connect them that way. You have to start either here, or you can start in New York, or you can start up here. You can start wherever, but once you start somewhere, you can't start again somewhere else. You have to just connect directly from one to next to the next to the next. So for gold, we only have 16 years, which may sound like a lot of time, but really it's not. And yeah, the graphics in this game were actually pretty good for the time. It actually had, water reflections. So if you build a bridge across from here to this island, it'll show you a reflection of the bridge in the water. That was pretty cool. New York. Let me tell you a little bit about what all this stuff is. Obviously, this is the map. These little things are rivers. These things are mountains. Don't you feel smarter now? This little lamp down here is this green blob on the heads-up display is a light, and it makes the map brighter. I like having the light on. So the stars here indicate the success of the town. So Boston is a 1.5 star town right now. Lowell is a 3/4 of a star town. Worcester is a 1/2 star town. Springfield, 1/2 star. New York, 2.25 star. Allentown, 1 star. Newcastle, Half Star, etc. And the basic concept is you're going to have a certain amount of passengers and a certain amount of goods coming from each town, and a certain amount of passengers and goods demanded by each town. So some passengers will want to go from Boston to Lowell, and some passengers will want to go from Boston to Providence, etc. So if you link those up, you'll get some people going back and forth. And we can take a look at them. Is it overview mode? Yeah, overview mode. So this mode shows you all the different demands and production. So Lowell has a decent amount of production, Boston's got a decent amount of production, Providence not so much, Hartford has a no production. It just gives you an idea of where you should start building. And you can pick the different stuff, like just passengers. There's no passengers yet, because we haven't built any railroads yet, so no one knows that you can travel by rail, so there's no demand for that yet. But as we build our railroads, we'll start getting passenger demand. Clothing. This little triangle tells us they have a building that produces clothes. The building is right here. It's a textile mill. And if you look at this here, it tells you if you bring it cotton, it'll produce clothes, and if you bring it wool, it'll produce clothes. So this textile mill will build clothes. So if you link it up with these things, you just click on them and it'll show you where they're produced. Apparently there's wool up here, and there's wool over there, and there's cotton nowhere. So there's no cotton anywhere. But there is wool. So one thing we could do is build a little train station here and run it down to Boston, and that will bring the wool down to here. They'll get sent to the textile mill, and the textile mill will then output clothes. And what this color map shows you is the demand for clothes. Green means really, really, really high demand. These little down arrows mean these houses here need clothes. It's a need of theirs. And the up arrow means it's provided. So you can go through any different material in the game here. Grain, mail, produce. Produce is decent because it shows you there's a supply here at a farm, I presume. Yeah, there's a farm here. A fruit orchard produces fruit. And then it shows you the demand for fruit is, some houses want fruit, yeah, but there's also going to be factories that want fruit, because factories can produce stuff with the fruit. Here's a good example. This is a lumber yard, a logging camp. It produces logs and it produces pulp. And then right next to it is a paper mill, and the paper mill turns pulp into paper. So this town here, Keene, not only has a logging mill, or was it right here, logging camp, but they also have the paper mill next to it to, go straight from raw production to secondary production. And then the paper, well, houses don't need it yet. Paper's needed here at this house. House demand 0.04 paper. Paper is also demanded by this commercial building. So that's the general idea of this game, is you just bring goods back and forth. You check where the demands are and you provide. One of the other things you can do though is you can also build or buy buildings. So we could, for instance, buy this tool and die factory. Let's say we find a good supply of iron? Yeah, let's say we find a good supply of iron. Like, here's an iron mine. Produces this amount of iron per year, 2 iron per year. Then we can see, oh, there's a demand for it over here. There's a tool and die over here. And it turns iron into just general goods. Well, you could, for instance, buy the iron mine up here. And you could also buy the tool and die factory down here. And you would make money simply by hauling from your iron mine down to your tool and die factory, and then hauling from your tool and die factory to anywhere. Because everywhere, if you see these little buildings, the houses need goods, these houses need goods, and these houses need... Everywhere on the map needs goods. The little green areas mean they demand goods. So if you buy the iron mine up here in this mountain, and you buy the tool and die, and then you run your trains back and forth to towns, you'll make money just because you'll be using everything they supply. So you can own the factories, you can even own these farms, you can own whatever you want. But before we get started, we need to start a company. So we can't really do anything without a company. So when you start a company, it asks you how much do you want to invest. You invest everything. Outside investment can be up to 10 times your investment. So if we invest this way, we will be a 1 out of 11 partner. Understand what I'm saying? If we choose very little outside investment, we'll be almost a 50% owner of the company. And yeah, you can play the stock market in this game as well. So you have to pick an icon. Doesn't really matter. I'm sure there's been millions of user-created icons. I usually use the deer. Don't really like some of the other ones. Oh goodness, why am I even bothering? Ah, a rabbit. I think I always called the one with the rabbit Outlaw Railways. Alright, so we're going to get started with the default investments from the bank and from ourselves. So there we go. And you're going to have competition in this map. And your competitors don't have your goals. Your goal is to connect from Boston to Buffalo. But your competitors can do whatever the fuck they want. They're just out to make a quick buck. And I need to warn you that I am really rusty with this game. I haven't played it in forever, many years. So the controls are unfamiliar to me. The AI is unfamiliar to me. What the other railroads will do is unfamiliar to me. I just haven't done it in so long. Oi. And we're playing on hard, which is as hard as it gets. There's no like very hard or anything. Oops, we turned on speed. So there is no day, there's only a month. So it'll be January whatever, there's no first, second, or third, it's just January. And as you change the speed, it'll go February, March, whatever. So we start our company, we need to choose where our headquarters will be. Or not really headquarters, but where we're going to run our first railroad. So you could start in New York, and just like run over to Allentown, and just go back and forth, New York, Allentown. You could do a New York Edison route as well. You know, whatever. But I usually start in Boston, just because we can do really short routes to Lowell, Worcester, and Providence. And that's usually an easy way to make a quick buck. Not always, but whatever. So when you're starting out, the first thing you need to do is this button, is build a station. You can do small, medium, or large, and they all cost a different amount. And you can see since we invested some of our own money and we got some investment from a bank, we have quite a bit of money to deal with. But we don't need to be huge. So we could start small and still be profitable. I think we'll do a medium though, because Boston can grow kind of big. And as you can see, the small has this yellow box is the coverage map. And that means any goods that are in that coverage map can be sent through your railway. So the medium has a larger coverage map, and the large has a huge coverage map, which is a little too big for our needs. So I think the medium will cover Boston just fine. Yeah, we'll do it like that. And this game has some strange problems when it comes to, not pathing, but trying to find a way around buildings and mountains. It takes grade, which is the slant of the land, into account when it's trying to map. So it tries to reduce the grade to as low as possible, so it makes trains easier to climb up and down hills. And it also tries to reduce curving of the track as much as possible. So you have to kind of deal with that. So we can just let it pick a direction or an angle for us, or we can manually use this thing to pick our own direction. But, you know, it doesn't matter that much. I think we want the track to be on the other side over there. We'll lock it. We'll say, okay, so there's the track. We're good to go. Like such. So there's our track. In happy little Boston. So this is our first track. Outlaw Railways has its own station. Got a little bit of track. First thing we need to do is run our track a little bit this way. And then we want to go over here and to connect to Worcester. Now, we can't build this here because we can't build unconnected track. At least I don't think we can. See, our track's coming from there, so let's turn it this way. Yeah, no, you can't click it down because we can't build unconnected track. Okay, that's fine. And as we're laying the track, you can see the different colors. The color is the grade. The red color means it's really high grade, means it's hard to climb up and down. The green color means it's really low grade, it's easy to climb down. I'm just going to change the settings really quickly. Settings, please. Show grade during track lay. Yeah, I need that. Don't need the grid, don't need trees. Okay. So now we'll be able to see the grade. You can see the track over here is very flat. And then over here it has a little hill that it has to get over. So we could go around the hill, or we could go through the hill with a tunnel. But I don't know. I think we'll just go around it slightly. We'll go this way. That'll work. We're gonna have a hill no matter what we do. We're just reducing the effect of the hill. There we go. Alright, so we just built a small station over here, and we're going to connect it to Boston with a train. And at the beginning of the game, there's only 2 trains to choose from. You can see the different speeds that they have. And across 0 grade, which is flat ground, it has really high speeds, no matter how many cars it's hauling. And then as the grade increases, the speeds go down. That's just the way it is with every single train. So this one, the 1929 Planet, has pretty poor speed everywhere. And the Norris has better speeds. So we're going to go with the Norris. But each train has its own properties, you know, acceleration, reliability, passenger appeal. So the passengers prefer the Planet. It's ultra cool. And the Norris is only sharp. Sharp is like just below ultra cool. The main things I look at, though, are the speeds and the cost, and the maintenance. Maintenance is how much it costs every year, so $6,000 a year to maintain this, and this one's $8,000 a year. But with the better speeds, I think it'll cover it. So we're gonna go ahead and do the Norris from Boston to Worcester, and it tells you by default it's gonna try to haul 4 cars, and I think that's fine. Yeah, any cargo. So that'll haul passengers, mail, clothes, liquor, produce, weapons, whatever. It'll haul whatever they have, and it'll just go back and forth, ping pong. So there we go. Our train is right here. And it's ghosted right now because it's not, we haven't really used it yet. The next thing we're going to do is connect to the town of Lowell. So we're going to fork our track off right here probably to run over to Lowell. So Manchester's behind Lowell, so we want to try to run through Lowell to get to Manchester, like this, you know, through Lowell. Put another little thingy, little station. Might want a medium here. And we could build a second train, but I'm just going to use the same train. So if we double click it, we can edit its route. We want to add a station. We can actually do it right here with this mini-map. So we're going to add, see, Boston to Worcester, go back to Boston, and then go to Lowell. So here's the route. It's going to go Boston, Worcester, Boston, Lowell, Boston, Worcester. So it's just going to go back and forth between these 2 stations, or 3 stations. Always with Boston at the center. We could do another run to Providence, and I think we will. I'm not sure if we should do it now. I don't remember if it's smart to do it at the beginning. Ah well, we'll do it anyway. I never said I was smart. Providence always has a little bit of a problem because it's up against some hills, and it's up against this weird water thing, which can't really get through it very well. Building through a farm like this costs more than building on open land because you actually destroy part of the farm. So it's preferable to go around farms if you can. Alright, so we have 3 little connections, and we're just going to use the same train to go between all 3 because I'm super lazy. We could build more trains, but that doesn't mean it's going to be worthwhile. It might be worthwhile later. Okay, so our train can do a lot on its own. It's going to start and go to here from its own, then it's going to go back, and then it's going to go up here, and then it's going to go back, and down here, etc. But it's going to run out of water. And water is part of a steam train. You just need it. And it's also going to need some servicing. So there's 2 facilities, water and sand, which allow it to keep running. The servicing, which allows it to run with less, breakdowns. So we're going to build our maintenance facility over here in Boston. And our water and sand we'll put right along the route. Should be fine. As long as we do it here in the center, then any train that comes along here will be able to use both of those. And if you actually zoom in on the track, you can see pretty well where they fork off. So they both fork off right about here. So as long as we build it between that point and our main station, then we'll service the train everywhere it goes. So let's start the game. Let's put it on, I guess, normal speed and see what happens. So it says the train is loading. And we can lock the camera to the train. And then we can watch the train go. Whee! Really slowed down going up that hill. Alright, so there we go. Our train just finished its route to Worcester. Now it's going to unload those, and then it's going to start loading some dudes to go back to Boston. Let's see, our first trip we hauled... Oh, I couldn't see. We hauled clothes and something else. Oh, it's not bringing anything back to Boston. Look at that. It's got nothing. Nothing. Oh well. So we just had a new competitor arrive, and he started a company in New York, connecting to Edison. And this is a good route. He'll make a lot of money doing this. That's fine. I don't mind competitors being, decent at what they do. Alright, so here we go. We can see, let me pause again. We can see our train is now loading passengers, mail, sugar, and produce. So it's loading 4 different things. And it's going to bring those up to Lowell, which is the next stop on its route. Lowell has a meatpacking plant, which demands cattle. And we have cattle up here in this area. So I think what we want to do is build a track from here over to here to get some of these cattle from these ranches. We can even buy the ranches if we want, 700,000. That'll be profitable as soon as we link it up, because when all their goods are being purchased, they become profitable. There's no questioning whether they're profitable. It's just when their goods are purchased, they're profitable. So we're going to run a track over there, because that's probably going to be decent money. And this track, you can see, is very expensive now. It's like $600,000 dues. And yeah, we'll use another Norris for it. It's fine. Except we'll increase the capacity to 8. So now, instead of maxing it out at 4 cars, we're going to try to do up to 8 cars. Just because it doesn't really matter how long it takes to get there. Livestock, they're not going to degrade if it takes an extra month. It's not going to be the end of the world. But we need another maintenance facility. Oh, I didn't notice this hill. This hill sucks. I could have gone around it. Shit. Oh well. I'm going to build another maintenance facility over here. No, we'll do it in Lowell. Add a... Alright, so it's already loading some livestock, and it's going to get on its way. And then this sucker is going to produce meat from that livestock that we bring, and the meat is demanded everywhere. So the way this works is the livestock are going to get hauled down here to the meat packing plant, and then this is going to produce a lot of meat. And this is eventually going to upgrade. So we can buy it. It's very expensive. And because we're going to be hauling down so many cattle, this meatpacking plant is going to become very, 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 very profitable. And it's going to say, oh, my input is really, really big. I should upgrade. So when you buy it, it'll give you the option to upgrade it. But the computer can upgrade it on its own. You can see its profit is very good. When it's profits like that, it's going to upgrade itself, and then that means it'll be able to do double. So instead of max per year 4, it's going to be max per year 8. So it'll be even more profitable. So there we go. We have a little train system going up. We're also running out of money very quickly, but that's fine. I am not afraid of failure. There you go. Haul that livestock. You're hauling whatever the fuck you want. Aha, here we go. He's stopping to get water and sand. So the water is used in the steam engine, and the sand is actually used to get trains up inclines. They put it underneath the tracks that are powered by the steam engine. And, not the tracks, the wheels. And the sand gives it traction along the tracks, so it can get up steep inclines. Alright, so our first livestock haul has landed. Ah, but see, here's a problem. We have 2 trains, right? Oh, there we go. There we go, perfect. Okay, so you can see these little things over here is how much profit is expected once the train reaches its destination. So this train from Lowell out to middle and nowhere is actually going to be pretty profitable. It's hauling meat. Okay, so I guess this station is almost close enough to service these 2 towns. Oh well. Alright, a new competitor has just arrived. Here he is. This guy up here in Syracuse has built a train that goes to Watertown. Good for you. Back to Boston with some milk and some passengers. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this game. I mean, there's other aspects like the stock market, things like that. I'm not going to get into that right now. That's just really complicated crap. Some of the campaigns actually require you to play with the stock market. I don't like that too much. I mean, it's a fine part of the game. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I would rather enjoy just, you know, hauling my shit back and forth. All right, he's full up on water and sand. Oh, here we go. Let me pause again. Look at this. Since our station has been here long enough to get some attention, now that the cattle ranches know the station is here, this station is now producing a demand for livestock. So the livestock, if you look at the map, the livestock map, this station will be green on the livestock map. It'll eventually be dark green. And that means the livestock will come from the ranches to the station instead of going anywhere else. And then this station will haul it over to the meat plant. So that's really cool. So now you can see our next train is going to haul a ton of livestock. And look how profitable it is. $295,000 of profit. Profit from delivering this livestock. So let's unpause. The train's going to move a lot slower now because it's got 5 cars behind it. But that's fine. And 6 cars now. The more cars that you have, the longer it takes to load and unload. Each car takes, you know, a certain amount of time to load and unload. Alright, so we finished our first year. And it tells you, let's see, New York Western refinanced 500 of debt and something else happened. So this is our ledger. At the end of the year, you get to see your ledger. Tells you your revenues is how much business you did, and profit is how much profit you made after paying all your company costs, your employees, your train upkeep, that sort of stuff. How many miles you've gone, how much money you do, not how much business you do per mile, average speed of your trains, and it tells you your investors are somewhat pleased. So we're on the plus side. They're happy with us. They're not super happy with us, but that's it. And your salary remains at 10,000. You are actually... Here's another aspect of this game. You are not this company. You are not your company. You are never your company. You can leave your company at any time. You are just a dude. And what this ledger tells you is your salary remains at $10,000. So you are actually this guy who is earning a wage by running a business. But you are still a slave to your investors. So you only put in 1/11th of your company's initial investment. They put in the other 10 out of 11. So you don't have a very large percentage of the company. So they tell you what to do. So this tells you your income statement, what type of loads were hauled, how much the costs were, and what your profits were. So we made some good profits, and we're actually going to make a lot more profit when this train arrives. Balance sheets, you can see we have a certain amount of money, how much the track costs, a ton. We spent a lot of money. We spent $1.5 million just on track. We went cheap on trains. We didn't buy any buildings. We don't have any bonds. And this is our equity. This is how much. Oh, here you go. At the bottom of the screen, see that says company book value. This is the value of all your assets minus any debt. So if you liquidated everything right now and paid off all your debts, you would have this much left over, approximately. The haulage report, you know, doesn't really matter. Stock report, here you go. You can see our company, we have 4,000 shares of it, and everyone else has 36,000 shares. So I guess we're a 10% investor right now. And you can see this slight increase in our stock value means it's good. It's going up. Book value per share. I never look at anything else other than just share price. You can see our trains, how much sand and water they have, how their oil's doing, speed, whatever. Stations, same thing. You can see how many loads are sent out of Boston is quite a few, but it doesn't receive many loads, and that's one of the problems with Boston. It's a good city by itself, but it doesn't really border any other good cities. The only real good city on the map besides Boston is New York, and to run a train back and forth between those two would take forever. You can do it. We might do it eventually, but for now it's just out of the question. Oops. Can I get my ledger back? Thank you. Let's go back. Industry list, we don't own any industry. Cargo list just shows you the hauls that we did and the average price that was paid. Alright, next tab. These are the 3 companies that are currently in the game. New York Western, they're going to do fine down here. this is a good place to do a company. They'll connect to Allentown, and then they'll connect to Newcastle and Williamsport, most likely. They probably won't go to Newton because it's too small. They probably won't go to Scranton because it's hard to get to. See, the terrain is not very favorable. So it would cost, the train tracks cost more when you're going up and down grades, so dealing with mountains is just ridiculously expensive. And they probably won't connect to Altoona, not because it's difficult terrain, it is, but the main reason is because it's too far away. They'll probably do a route like this, up to Williamsport and back, which will good. They'll make a lot of profit doing that. But they probably won't come this way. So this way is pretty much ours. Nobody's going to bother us over here in New England. The other company is just getting started, Syracuse and Watertown, and they haven't really done anything yet. They just started. They haven't done shit. I don't think their trains have even reached their destination yet. No, there they are. There's their train. They haven't even reached destination. So they're just going to run back and forth, and we'll see how well they do later on. And the player list, you know, whatever. Some campaigns you actually compete with the other AI players. Game status. So you have until 1866 for bronze, and the current status is Boston is unconnected. And you can see the briefing tells you for gold we need 1856. So we'll try for gold, but I'm not gonna be, you know, bend over backwards trying to get gold on every map. I do when I play on my own, but for the purpose of a let's play, I'd rather you guys just see the game and get a chance to enjoy the game and not worry about just getting gold all the time, because it's not the end of the world. You don't have to get gold. Here's our livestock train. Look at all those moo cows. Moo. 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 Oh yeah, he almost ran out of water. That's going to be a problem. I need to pause. So this guy, just going from... Actually, that might be fine. I think we'll let it sit. It'll show you a warning thing over here if the train runs out of water or runs out of anything. But I think it's okay for now. All right, train coming back from... What part of its route is it on? It's coming back from Providence. So it just went to Rhode Island and it's on its way back. It shows you up here the train made 50k, and this train made 250k with that long haul. So if you remember at the beginning when it was still loading, it said that the profitability was going to be 295,000, but at the end it was only 258,000. Reason being, the time that it takes you to get there actually lowers the value of your cargo. So the faster you can get it from A to B, the more profit you'll make. That's important, because as newer trains come out, the newer trains will be faster, and it'll be smart to invest in an upgrade to your trains. Anyway, now that we have a little money again, we're almost up to $1 million. I'm thinking we should connect somewhere again. Maybe over to Manchester? Not sure. Manchester has a meatpacking, and Lowell has a meatpacking, so connecting back and forth with them wouldn't be super profitable. It might be profitable, but not super profitable. I think we're more likely to go for Hartford over here, which has more meatpacking, huh? And a tool and die. There's no iron anywhere over here except way up there. That's no good. Well, I guess I do want to connect to Hartford. It's just, ugh. What's this? Dairy farm. Everyone wants dairy. And these buildings are usually the most profitable things you can buy early in the game. Dairy farms. They make good money, man. Oh, phone call. Hold on, I gotta take this call.